Hello friends, welcome to the Jazz Ranch, hip cats, groovy chicks, and finger popping daddies. You know, people have been asking me for a number of years now when I would complete the appendix to my book. My book is called The Jazz Piano Book, Methods and Songbook for Professional Playing. And I wrote an appendix and it didn't get included because I ran out of time, ideas, and space to put it in. So I've been working on it for the last 3 years, and I finally finished the appendix, and it is over 140 pages, a lot longer than I had intended it to be, but it includes exercises, drills, and advice on developing your skills as a jazz pianist. And like I said, it's over 140 pages of information, exercises, drills, and so on that are going to be important for you to develop your skills, not only as a pianist but also a jazz pianist. There's a ton of information in there, and you can look it up on my website and look at the table of contents, but I'm going to give you more than that in this video. I'm going to give you a look into the book like I did with my other book. And you're going to see everything that's in my appendix to my book. It's in 3 parts. Appendix 1, 2, and 3. So it has levels 1, 2, and 3. In other words, easy, intermediate, and advanced. So you're going to get a lot of information in this book. And I hope you will consider acquiring it and add it to your library, and it will be beneficial to you as a jazz pianist or a pianist in general. So here we go now with a look into my appendix. Not this one down here, but the book. Okay, here we go. I'm going to give you an inside view of the appendix to the Jazz Piano Book, Methods and Songbook. And these are the drills and exercises that relate to my book and also my videos. So you have 3 appendices, they would call it 3 appendix, and they are Appendix 1, you get the introduction and about the author and the table of contents. Now, right away I give you a practice procedure, including timing, how to understand syncopation, some of the most important things you need to learn about practicing. And then you get right into intervals. That's the first subject, is intervals, and you have a few pages on that, including a drill, an exercise. And then you get the most simple chords, all the triads in every key. And you get them laid out for you as scale tone triads, which you're going to apply to tunes in the key of C. So then you get 2 tunes in the key of C to apply those triads. Right away you're getting practical application of what you've learned. Now we get into 7th chords right away because we want to learn 7th chords for jazz. So we have all the flat keys and sharp keys, all the 7th chords are laid out here for you. So you can learn them just using these 2 pages. You can learn all your 7th chords. Then you get an exercise to really get your 7th chords down in both hands, with the chords in the left hand and arpeggios in the right hand. So you get a really good drill. Now this is quite a few pages because it's every key. So you can just learn the simple keys and then move on to the more complicated keys later on. Now you get all the major and minor scales in a drill, in both hands with all the fingering. Where are you going to find this? You got all the fingering and all the scales you need to learn in the major scales, and then you get the minor scales here. Now continuing, now we move on to spread voicings. You learn the spread voicings, in other words, harmonizing between the 2 hands, and you get a 2-5-1 exercise with the melody right away. Now we're into Appendix 2. Now this gets more extensive. It starts out with really something that's very good because it relates back to my book, playing from a fake sheet. This is the most important thing you want to learn, is to play from a lead sheet. So it gives you the page numbers to look back to in the book that are going to teach you various things like various priorities, how to find the melody, how to establish the form, how to find the tempo, how to find chord progressions, scale tone sevenths, and your jazz phrasing and so on, arrangements, introductions, right hand, so on. All the various things you need to learn in order to play from a lead sheet. Now you get into 7th chord drills for both hands. And now you get songs to play. Don't Blame Me in Summertime. Right away you're getting an application to songs that you can learn to play using the drills that you've just learned, the exercises you just learned. I make this practical for you. Now you have a chart on all the 7th chords in 2-5-1 progression. Root position, first inversion, second inversion, third inversion. So you have the A form and the B form. You have all of them here laid out for you in every key. Now this is all you're going to ever need for like learning theory and learning skills in jazz. Left hand drills. We want to learn how to play the left hand, how to use the left hand. So here's a drill for the left hand. And then you get a tune to play for the left hand. Now you have more 2-5-1 exercises with right hand melody. Trying to go through and get the important points. Then you have an example of a tune, you can do that. And another example of a tune that you can use using the rootless voicings. Now you have the 7th chord drills for the right hand and for the left hand. So you get a lot of drills here that are going to be very beneficial to you in developing skills. Now, improvisation. Step by step. How you begin to improvise and how you go from one step to the next. I really analyzed this. I really thought about it for a long time and figured out a plan. You know, you can't learn to improvise by just using music. You have to listen to recordings. But this is like the best plan I've come up with for reading music into how to intellectualize to improvise, and that's what I did. And I give you examples of what you just learned in the exercises in tunes. Don't Blame Me, and then a progression, a 2-5-1-6 progression. Now the modes. Now you need to learn the modes. Not only am I giving you the modes, but I'm giving you tunes that apply those modes. The Ionian mode, Secret Love, Dorian mode, So What, Phrygian mode, Nardus. I give you tunes that apply the modes. So you're learning the modes and learning how to apply them. Sorry about that. Okay. Now you have a minor key exercise, which is important because you want to learn in both major and minor keys. Then you want to learn the pentatonic scales. Here they are laid out for you in an exercise. Now we get into Appendix 3. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. Here's an extensive definition of jazz. Swing rhythm, syncopation, improvisation, jazz chords voicings, specific scales, repertoire, interplay, individual. It's all written out here for you. Then you get, this is one of the most important things in the book, scales for improvisation. All the scales you need to learn, all the major scales, all the minor scales you need to learn, all the dominant scales, and so on. And then half diminished and diminished. Now we get into the diminished scales and the dominant scales and how they interrelate. The half tone, whole tone scale, and then you get to apply them in tunes. Don't Blame Me and Someday My Prince Will Come. Now you get the Barry Harris 6 diminished scale. This is pages that in all the keys working out his theory. Now you have diminished scale runs. A variety of them to practice. 4 pages, actually 6 pages, 8 pages of diminished scale runs. And then you get an exercise in tenths. You get the altered dominant scale approaches. These are all chords that have to do with the altered dominant chords and their scales. And then you get chromatic drills, which are very good for jazz, to drill things in a chromatic way, half steps. Then you get the drop 2 voicings and a variety of exercises for drop 2, which is an important way to harmonize chords in jazz. This goes on for pages. You get pages of drop 2s because they're so important. And then we end up with a list of legendary jazz pianists and a list of the most important recordings you can get in jazz from the various great jazz stars. So You know, if you want to make a collection of a jazz collection, this is good advice. Now, here's one of the most important things about the book. I put an index in there. I don't have this in my book, but you can go to the index and look up any subject you want and find it in this book. If you want to find the major scales or the minor scales or the triads or a specific tune, Autumn Leaves, you can find it here. It's all in alphabetical order. All the chords, the various chords, seventh chords and so on. The triads, everything, every chord you want to find is listed under chords. Chromatic drill, cycle of fifths, all the cycle of fifths exercises and so on. You know, improvisation, jazz defined, left hand exercises and so on. Minor scales and so on. All the scales, various scales, major, minor, dominant, you know, all the scales are listed here. Seventh chords are listed. You know, tenths, tunes, all the tunes are listed by title. So you can find any tune in here. You can, the 2-5-1 exercises are all listed by the type of 2-5-1 exercise. So you can refer back to specific things that are most important to you by going to the index. So there you have it, the Jazz Piano Appendix. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch. Thanks so much for watching this video about my appendix. I hope you will want to acquire it, and if you can't afford it, please write to me. I will give you a deal. I want anyone that wants it to have it, and I'm sure it will benefit you. So I'll sign off now with the words from my great friend upstairs, Hermie Dressel. Always said to me when I left his office, he always said, swing loose. And we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.